Hello, back again. I wanted to talk about a deck that I think is a tarot deck that I think is really kind of interesting, and I think it's really not that popular, at least not by me. I don't know anybody who uses it for a reading anymore, but you can still buy the deck, and that's the 1JJ Swiss tarot deck. This is an older version. It's in a box, and if you buy it now, more than likely it'll be in the flip box like this. But most stores don't carry it anymore, at least not here. But it's a traditional deck, and I do use it along with the Rider-Waite deck in my book, Essential Tarot, Unlocking the Mystery. I show the 1JJ Swiss card, and I also show the Rider-Waite card next to it, and showing the definition of that card. But I show both cards. And I do one sample reading. I have 3 sample readings in that book, Essential: Celtic and the Gypsy spread, and another one. Oh, there's the 6-card force, I think is the other one, yeah. But the 6-card force and the Celtic, I use the Rider-Waite to show the cards that are placed there. Where the Gypsy spread, in this book, I use the 1JJ just to show something different there. And but it's a real neat deck. It's a traditional deck, 1800s. And what's interesting, I still use the deck. This is my version of it here. And I'm going to show an overhead. We're going to do a reading with it. And I'm going to put the Rider card next to it as well. So it'll be the 1JJ and the Rider placed next to it, so you can see how they can be associated and for the same definition, and it might help with things. So we're going to do an overhead here on that. But I'll show this deck that I have here. This deck is probably about 15 years old, and I'm looking at this deck now, and I don't know how I read with it. I mean, here's the Magician card, and pretty much everything's gone off that card. You don't even see him anymore. Here's the Empress, and she's just totally gone. But I know it's her. So these cards are just worn out. You could tell that I've used that a while because there's such a curve on that deck that it's old. And I still use it today. If it's around when the phone rings, I grab it. But it's a great traditional deck. The reason it's called the 1JJ Swiss is because originally the Marseille deck in the 1700s, it had for the High Priestess, what we call the High Priestess today, and the Hierophant. Those 2 cards were called the Lady Pope instead of the High Priestess, and the Hierophant was called the Pope, and that was that. And in the 1800s, they came out with the 1JJ Swiss out of respect for the church, from what I understood. They decided to change those 2 cards from Lady Pope and Pope. They went with 2 gods of ancient Rome, Juno and Jupiter, 1JJ. So the High Priestess is called Juno in this deck, and the Hierophant is called Jupiter, and they're Roman gods, and that's why it's called the 1JJ. Other than that, what I like about the deck is it's like I said, it's traditional, so it's pip cards. 8 of Wands is 8 Wands, 6 Cups, 6 Cups. But the images on the cards for the court cards and the majors are more detailed. The artwork is really fine artwork. And so there's a lot more detail, where with the Marseille deck, it's crude art. And so the 1JJ is really very detailed. And there's a lot of curious things with that deck too, with like, I like things that make sense and don't make sense at the same time when we talk about the tarot cards. It gets your curiosity going. And here, like the Death card, always I always thought was a curious card because of the fact that the Death card has this little red house in the background, and I don't know why that little red house is there. I mean, why did they take the time to paint a little red house in the background of the Death card? Just doesn't make any sense. Here's the Death card here, and you can see right over here the little red house there. And we don't know why did they do that. So, but the artwork is very, very detailed. Here's the Hangman, and again we have with the Rider deck, the Hangman have this halo around his head. Here we have a soldier that's actually hung, I guess executed, and the Hangman, a traitor, was hung by one foot in Europe at the time. And this is a soldier, so more than likely this was a traitor, a treason, probably executed for treason. So it's a whole different meaning than what we use today. But the artwork is very beautiful, and it's very detailed. So I think the deck is something you might want to look into if you like traditional decks and want to see something different than what's out there today. Like I said, you can still buy. I don't know any stores that are selling it. I'm sure you can still buy it from a store. But if you can't, I'm sure Amazon has it. I've seen it on eBay, Amazon. It's still a popular deck to some regard. But the 1JJ Swiss. And it's nice artwork. So we're going to be doing a Celtic cross using the Rider-Waite and the 1JJ, and I'll have the overhead going here with that. And again, all my readings that I like to try to that I do, I have the question being, how can I go about, what's the best way for me to achieve my goals, or some specific goal I'm trying to accomplish. So what's the best way to go about to achieve my goal? This way it's useful for anybody, and it'll be useful at any time. So if you're looking at this video 3 years from now, you still might get something out of the reading. One other thing I'd like to mention about this deck, before we go into that, the book for that deck, Tarot, Cards for Fun and Fortune Telling, by Stuart Kaplan, U.S. Games. It's a hardcover book, and that uses the the 1JJ. This came out in 1970. I think it was a year before Kaplan brought back the Rider-Waite deck, 1971, I think, when he did that. Again, I might have talked about this in another video a couple years back. It might still be on my channel. If I am, I'm not repeating myself. It's just any new subscribers isn't going to look back that far, probably. So I thought I'd talk about this deck because it's worth talking about. It's a good deck, and it's so unpopular or rare now that people are using it. You might like to look at it and see if there's something there for you. It's nice to be different. So anyway, Celtic Cross, 2 decks, and again, I use both these decks in Essential Tarot. We'll get started. Okay, what I'm going to do here is use my old deck, and I'm going to replace it with newer cards. But I just want to show you this deck because it's just, I think it's, I didn't realize it was this bad. And so it's really old. It's not really old, it's just been used a whole lot. So Celtic Cross, the question is going to be, how are we going to achieve our goals or our specific goal? Usually what I do with a reading is I'll have my client cut the cards into 3 packs, like this. And I'll ask them their question, and as they're telling me their question, I turn over the top card of each pack, and I decide which top card would be best for appropriate for their question. So I'm going to achieve our goals. Page, wheel, devil. I'm going to go with the wheel. Evolvement. I use evolvement for the wheel as far as a keyword. So that's what I would use here. And that becomes position 1. Position 2 is the Hermit. Position 3, I have the Ace of Wands. Position 4, the Knight of Cups. Position 5 is the Nine of Swords. I'm going to start right here. I'm just going to say evolvement. Moving forward, we're going to find answers within ourselves here with the Hermit card. And how can we be able to find answers for our own situation? What we're going through right now is the Ace of Wands. We're trying to find new ideas or new options to take action with the Knight of Cups. What you have going for us right now as an asset is the ability to attain what we're trying to attain if we go in the right direction. Nines are attainment. Knights are action. Aces are new beginnings. Opportunities to come in the near future. King of Wands over here. I see a lot more information with the King of Wands. Also, I see this as ability. So I see influence. You're going to get influence on this. More people are going to listen to what you have to say, or if they're not listening now, they will listen soon. We're going to go more in depth in this as I put in new cards to replace these old ones. The way you're seeing your own question is the Ten of Wands as a completion. You want to make this a completion. You want to have something resolved here, finalized. And the timing right now is a good time to address things that are resisting you. So sometimes it's good to wait. But I do see this as a time to go after the things that are resisting you the most and meet them head on after we get this part of the reading situated. The time looks right to do that once we know what we're doing. Strength card here as far as the purpose, a stronger position in a situation, more influence. This influence you have with the King is something you'd like to accomplish with the Strength card. Maybe you don't feel like you're being heard enough, or people aren't listening to what you have to say in this situation. Another 6. 6 of Wands, 6 of Swords. Again, I see that as overcoming obstacles, taking on challenges, perseverance. And this is opportunity too. This is something you could look for in the future. As things progress, I do see you being able to address these Six of Wands with the Six of Swords. I do see you being able to address these challenges that you have as far as achieving what you're trying to accomplish. What you need to do to get there is strive to get more people to hear or understand what you have to say. What you have to say is something that's pretty important, or at least if it's not vocal, at least your point of view being expressed in some way is important. I think it's a good idea. You have a good idea about what you want here, or what you're trying to accomplish with the Ten of Wands. People just need to hear it. Don't be discouraged if it's not happening right now. Keep persevering. Within the next 3 months or so, I do see that coming about. Carefully plan. If you don't think it's carefully planned out right now, what your position is, maybe you need to refine it. This is also knowledge. Look within yourself with the Hermit card to evolve this plan of yours in some way, to make sure you do know exactly what it is you're talking about. Or if it's not something you're talking about, the actions you're trying to take, make sure that they're really in place in a way that will be effective. So go over everything that you're doing right now and study it, fine-tune it, refine it to something that really looks like it'll work well, and people will listen to what you have to say. Now I'm going to take these cards and replace them with a newer deck, and we're going to go from there. Same deck. These are in order, so it won't be that hard of a problem to do. But you can see the difference. There. All right, now we're using a clearer deck. So again, you can see that the images on these cards are very nice. The Strength card has a male figure wrestling the lion, but other than that, it's and there's no sphinxes or anything like that with the wheel. It's Lady Luck, it looks like, or somebody here is turning that wheel. Lovers on the top and somebody falling off the card on the bottom. And the wheel's rooted into the ground. But they all have, there's symbolism with all the cards on any deck, so whatever we have here is what we have from this particular deck. But anyway, like I said, what I saw here was, if you wanted to try to make this happen, something you're trying to accomplish, sometimes it's good to look into what you have right now and say, okay, what's not working? If I'm having trouble getting this across or getting this accomplished, what am I doing here that's not effective? I need to fine-tune that. You have a pretty good handle on what it is you're trying to accomplish as far as something that's realistic with the Ten of Wands. It can be resolved, but you need to fine-tune it maybe in a way that if there's other people that need to be involved, they need to hear clearly what it is. And maybe that's not happening. If it's something that you need to do by yourself and no other people around with the Hermit card, that's fine. But you need to fine-tune what it is, your efforts you're making right now. This is a pretty substantial goal you're trying to accomplish with the Ace of Wands, and you are eager to take action with it. So as far as your enthusiasm goes, or your energy to do this, it's there as soon as you know which way to go on things. And you can, this is something with the Nine of Swords, it is something that's realistic to do if you get things planned out well on what it is you want to do. I see those opportunities coming if you open your eyes and take a look at things around you in a way that you weren't before. We always have opportunities. We have opportunities every day around us. We just don't see them. Everybody, including myself, has this. We're just never looking for them. Sometimes we talk ourselves into thinking that they're there. They're not there when they really are. So keep an eye out for these opportunities to fine-tune and create something that works in a realistic way where you can make some progress. I do see you taking on this challenge successfully with the Six of Swords if you persevere, fine-tune things, and watch the progress happen with the Knight, with the King of Wands in the next 2 or 3 months. And if you look at these images, you'll see here we have the Rider deck compared to the Swiss Wheel card, and the Hermit. More realistic looking picture, or more realism in the picture, more detail in the picture. Still a monk, but just a different looking monk. Ace of Wands, pretty much the same type of thing, but closer to the Marseille deck as far as it's a club more than a staff, with just a lot more detail. Knight of Cups, again, pretty much the same kind of card, just a little differently drawn. Nine of Swords. And here's what I like about the traditional decks is that we saw this as your ability to do what you need to do. Or if you're looking at a card like this, it doesn't really show. It could show something that's very stark, not really ability, but maybe something in a negative way. And that's why I like traditional decks. I see nines as attainment. Here we have the attaining awareness of a sad truth or epiphany of some type that's not very pleasant, but coming to terms, coming out of denial. That's one form of attainment, yes, but there's many forms of attainment, and I see this as one that we can overcome things if we fine-tune things and change them. The King of Wands is pretty much just like the other, just a king sitting there on a throne. There's no background in these court cards. Where here you see sky and mountains and things like that in these court cards, but on this is just stark background. Same with the Hermit. No background here. It's just curious. Ten of Wands. Again, a completion. That shows a completion. You seeing it as something you can't complete. You can do this. You can resolve this problem or this issue, this challenge that you're doing. Six of Wands. Overcoming obstacles, perseverance, taking on challenges, and coming out a winner. Now's the time to address these things that are stopping you from doing that. Sixes. Strength card. We have a woman. Traditionally now, here we have a man wrestling this lion. Here the woman's petting the lion. But the number is different too. Originally it was 11, not 8. Waite changed that. He never explained why, but he did. And then we have the Six of Swords. Six Swords, moving on to calmer waters. Again, sixes are overcoming obstacles, taking on challenges, and so this will be able to. You'll be able to do this. You'll be able to take this on and overcome these challenges. Move to a different situation. Once you fine-tune your plan that's in place right now. What's in place right now is causing resistance. It's not. It might be close to what needs to be done, but something's got to be turned or tilted in a way, turned in a different way to make this all work. The wheel turns. You got a good attitude about it. Persevere. Your enthusiasm's a plus. Your goal's realistic. This is all going to start coming together if you look into it. Figure it out in a better way. Better plan than what you have right now. So that's that. Celtic Cross and 1 JJ Swiss. Hope you like this, and we'll talk soon.